Well, the Pistons hired a new architect. He's got all the tools possible. Will he build this or this? Detroit has looked like this for years with horrible decisions, but we could be on the verge of a new Pistons championship era. In this video, we're talking about the one path that will take Detroit back to competing in the East. The good news is they hired Troy Weaver. He's supposed to be the next great team builder. I guess we'll see if he can create a contender or if, like their old arena, the team will continue to do this. Welcome to AM Hoops. Hit subscribe, notification bells. It helps out the channel a lot. You know what else helps out the channel? The channel that's coming out with 5 videos per week, always dropping at 5 Eastern, is if you enter the promo code AM Hoops at mybookie.ag. If you like a little extra on these games like I do sometimes, they are the sponsor of this video and they have set up this promo code for you because if you put it in, you will double your deposit. So they're asking me to pick games for you guys, which I like to do. I put a lot of thought into it. So my 2 best picks of the day. My first pick is the Bucks as 6.5-point favorites against the Wizards. This line started as Bucks -8, but the public is all over the Wizards to cover. I'll take the Bucks though at -6.5. Yes, Milwaukee is resting key players, but DC has lost every single bubble game, 5 by at least 9 points. My second pick is the Kings as 2.5-point favorites against the Pelicans. New Orleans has been eliminated. Both teams are resting players, but Sacramento will have the better squad with Buddy Hield, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Harrison Barnes still playing. We always start with the basics. So the offseason basics for the Pistons are cap space, around $30 million bucks, depending on what the cap looks like. Some of the most in the NBA. Draft, 5th best odds at number 1, most likely 5 through 7. Their needs, everything, but especially point guard. They're relevant free agents. They got a lot of guys, but really you just need to know Christian Wood. The great news for the Pistons, like we said, they hired Troy Weaver. He's supposed to be the next great architect building NBA teams. He was in the Thunder front office. He convinced them to take some guy named Russell Westbrook at 4th, then Serge Ibaka at 24th in the same draft. He helped pick James Harden. People have wanted this guy for years and he said no. He finally said yes because the Pistons really do have a lot to work with. That cap space and the high draft pick is a great place to start. So the big question is, with all of his draft know-how, that awesome resume, who should Troy Weaver take? Well, I feel really bad for Pistons fans because for the first time since 2003, they have a top 6 draft pick, and this draft sucks. By the 6th pick last year, Kobe White was still on the board, Tyler Hero, Brandon Clark. This year, experts say there won't be much. If they pick at 5, though, they should take Tyrese Halliburton. The Pistons need help in the backcourt. They were 21st in offense, 28th in pace last season. Halliburton is the 2nd best point guard in the draft. He's both talented and he's got the measurables at 6'5". This is a dude with a high basketball IQ who will be solid for years to come, but he's not a star. That's why if they pick first, they should take LaMelo Ball. Ball is a backcourt talent who also has star power. He fixes both of those bad stats I mentioned too. LaMelo plays great in transition, that fixes the pace. He can ignite bad offense with his passing and his scoring ability. He's got a ways to go defensively, but the Pistons have a ways to go to contention, so he's got time. So that's a great start, but I talked about the one path that the Pistons need to take to get back to contending, and it's a unique path. On off-season videos, I'm usually talking about big trades or big signings, but the Pistons are different. They need to build a treasure chest of draft picks to let Troy Weaver do his thing. And here's how they can do it. The first tool is cap space. The Pistons will have some of the most cap space in the NBA. They traded Andre Drummond for basically nothing, but that was actually a great decision. Drummond opted into his contract for about $28 million bucks, so now the Cavs are on the hook for that. The Pistons have space. They were also paying Josh Smith, if you can believe that. He's off the books. With all this cap space, they should not go out and sign like a Brandon Ingram or a Montrezl Harrell. They don't want win-now players. Instead, they should get bad contracts, which I know sounds ridiculous. Why would you want that? It's because you can, if you do that, rob other teams for the mistakes they have made. The Hawks did this last year. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted to go to the Nets. Well, Brooklyn panicked to create cap space. They said, will anyone take Alan Crabb's $18 million? The Hawks were like, yeah, we'll do it for a price, 2 first-round picks. So now the Hawks have Crabb coming off their books this year, also 2 of the Nets' first-rounders. This is the perfect year to do this strategy, too. The pandemic is going to really hurt some teams financially. The cap is going to go down, so the luxury tax will go down, too. Some team owners flat out can't afford to pay the tax, so to get under it, they'll probably do desperate things. Let's say a team like the Pacers or the Sixers need to offload a big salary. Well, the Pistons have cap space to take it, but it'll cost them. So my first trade to build the Pistons is Mike Conley and 2 first-round picks for Derrick Rose. The Jazz are one of those teams that's going to be hit by the pandemic and will need to get under the luxury tax. Mike Conley has been underwhelming this year, to say the least, and while he's still talented, he is not someone a contender will trade for because he makes so much money. The Pistons can actually absorb his $34 million, which is crazy. Conley will join a contending team after his deal expires next year. Derrick Rose will give equal or better value to Utah as a point guard, but Conley makes 5 times more money. This is a win-win for both teams. The next trade, the Houston Rockets trade Eric Gordon and a 2023 first-rounder for Luke Kennard. Look, I know trading Luke hurts Pistons fans, but there's no way the Rockets do this without him. Houston will not pay the luxury tax. They've already shown that, and new owner Tillman Fertitta is hurting financially. He is a restaurant owner. Eric Gordon got a fat deal before the season, and he's been injured mostly ever since. He is the obvious choice to move on their books with 2 years left on his deal. The Pistons get back another draft pick, which could be valuable by 2023 if the Rockets decide to rebuild. On the Pistons, Eric Gordon can replace Luke Kennard offensively, but what if he can get healthy again? And he's good. Then the Pistons could flip Eric Gordon again for even more value. This looks like it hurts at first because Luke Kennard is just 24 years old, but it could be a big win in the long run. My last trade is Al Horford and 3 first-round picks for Tony Snell. The Sixers do this trade to get off of Horford's awful contract. They gave a 34-year-old $100 million, and he didn't even work on their team. The Sixers have one of the biggest payrolls in the NBA. The ownership could panic if the pandemic hurts their bank account. This could only happen if the Sixers get embarrassed in the first round in the bubble, and Horford is even worse than he was in the regular season. They do this and get back Tony Snell, who is a decent two-way player, but makes less than half of Al Horford. The Pistons jumpstart their rebuild by taking on Elton Brand's mistake and getting 3 future first-rounders. Bottom line, this is the path the Pistons need to take. They aren't a free agent destination. It makes no sense to get a good player in free agency like Trez or Ingram and be mediocre. They've already done that for years with Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin. With any of these moves, they can add even more picks so that Troy Weaver can do what he does best, scout and develop young talent. Beyond that, there is one more thing I think the Pistons should prioritize. They need to re-sign Christian Wood. In his last 12 games with more minutes, he averaged 22 points, 10 boards on about 37% from downtown. We knew this guy was good, but maturity has always been an issue. I'm not saying they should break the bank to re-sign him, but they should offer him a contract around $10 million per year. If another team offers him stupid money, let him go. But this is a guy who can keep the team interesting in the lean years ahead. I believe in Troy Weaver. That's why I'm suggesting this strategy. No matter how smart you are in the draft is a guessing game. Doing this strategy gets them more picks and more guesses for Weaver in the draft. If they do this and they do it right, there could be a contender in Detroit again soon. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.